So you want to hear a story, eh? One where the very fate of a franchise hangs in the balance? If not, too bad, I'm telling you anyway. It begins with a quirky game from long ago, in the ancient time of 2009. Its quirks were few but pleasant, and it brought some laughs and engagement to several players. Then its sequel came out and blew the cherries out of many a gamer in 2012, propelling that quirky little series to new heights. The hype was rampant, and this propelled the next few games to similar levels of success. Then a shadow passed over the franchise, a darkness, wreathed in age. A movie of the series' beloved characters was in the works, and given the popularity of other quirky ensemble casts like Guardians of the Galaxy, there was hope of reigniting a love for the franchise after a period of silence, this time from a new audience. But that would not come to pass. The masses rejected the movie as much as it rejected two of the main characters. With all the tropes of modern cinema, along with fan disapproval, it crashed and burned faster than you could say, miscast. And soon, the dream was destroyed once again, of a proper video game adaptation on the big screen. Welp, Borderlands sucked, and now it looks like the dumpster of terrible video game adaptations gets to burn a little longer. But who could have guessed it was going to fail given the casting of old women and young women roles, exclusion of half the cast of the game, bringing in new characters that aren't supposed to be here yet, miscasting nearly everyone, and then butchering humor that was already getting old a decade ago. "How could this fail?" the greedy corporate overlords asked. "Because you didn't understand it," said the entire fanbase, internet, and audience. It's no stretch to say video game movies tend to have issues, as you'll usually be cramming several hours of story down to 2, maybe 3 hours max for a theatrical release. Then you've got the problem of achieving the look and feel of something that you play in something that you watch. Imagine a game of catch between you and a friend, but now you get to watch someone else and their friend play catch, and they have to make that entertaining. You lose that interaction, that control, when you do that, and it's similar when adapting an interactive medium to a passive medium. When the interaction goes away, you have to make it up by giving people an entertaining ride, whether through storytelling, special effects, or effective and faithful characterization, preferably doing all of the above. This is not the case for most video game movies, however. Many butcher the source material, rewrite it to the point that it's an adaptation in name only, or they simply write a script that sucks. Sometimes you get all of this in one film. What the Borderlands film forgot was that the Vault Hunters were Lilith, Roland, Mordecai, and Brick, so it should focus on them, with additions made over time regarding the side characters and villains of the world. Adding in Tiny Tina, Krieg, and Claptrap to the mix doesn't make much sense, and radically changes what story is being told, as half the main cast has disappeared. Imagine if they were adapting Star Wars from a book to a movie, and wrote Obi-Wan out of the prequels completely and replaced him with Mace Windu. That's a boneheaded decision that will upset the fans you're making this for, and radically changes how the story will progress in the future, making any further adaptation barely more than fan fiction. Then you've got the cast problems of this movie. As mentioned earlier, Lilith and Tannis are acted by Cate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis, who are over 50 and 60 respectively. Not quite the early and late 20s their characters are supposed to be by this point. Then we've got Kevin Hart as Roland, a short comedian who's meant to play a formidable and stoic ex-soldier, or the straight man of the group. Jack Black as Claptrap is something I understand, but you may as well use the original voice actor since it'd be cheaper, and you already have several names you can attach to the film with Blanchett, Curtis, and Hart. At least Tiny Tina is played by a 16-year-old, but that's about as far as the positives go for her being adapted this way. Krieg was played by a giant bull of a man, so at least that's right, but it's much worse than having, Mordecai or Brick there. The dude could probably play Brick with how big he is. It's a shame they took the opportunity to make a Borderlands movie, but instead made a Land of Borders movie with how unlike the game it is. But how do you create a proper adaptation of a video game? First, you need to understand what you're adapting. The tone, the aesthetic, the execution. Second, you need to respect it. You can't go anywhere good without those two principles. After that, we get step 3, trimming the fat. Many games run longer than movies, even if you focus solely on story events, so it's inevitable that some things will be cut when adapting it. When you look at Borderlands 1 as an example, you have 46 main quests to complete to finish the story of the game. That sounds like a lot, but several overlap into the same overall objectives, or are minor progressions from A to B to C. This is a chart showing all the Borderlands 1 main missions. They are color-coded with what would be required to tell the story. Green is for what is absolutely necessary, Yellow is for things that could be cut but have something worthwhile, like a character introduction or significant moment, and red is for things that absolutely should be cut and only constitute filler from a plot perspective. When all is said and done, we have 9 green missions, 11 yellow missions, and 26 red missions. In short, we can cut a lot, but what story should we make out of this? Let's make our own plot that could work in a movie. Think of the plot like this. We start by getting a scene establishing the backstory of Vault Hunters, like the opening to the game. Then we drop into the bus with the crew and Marcus, or we pick one and introduce each of them within or around Firestone. Since the movie focused on Lilith, let's start with her. She'll get the Angel's message and get off the bus to meet Claptrap, who leads her to Firestone. After she meets Zed, she defends him from bandits and Roland comes in to help. He plays the straight man to her reasonable psychopathy. Then the two of them go to meet TK Baha after Zed mentions he will help them defeat Nine Toes so they can get out of the area to continue searching for the vault. Then we'll get info on Nine Toes' whereabouts, and we'll follow them as they kill through some bandits to reach him. When they encounter Nine himself, Roland is almost killed by Nine, but Nine gets shot through the head by a sniper rifle. Then Bloodwing comes in to help Lilith fend off Nine's skags, and we cut to Mordecai taking a shot after a successful kill. Bloodwing takes a liking to Lilith after she uses her siren powers to heal a wound she sustained, and the three of them agree to work together. They tell TK Nine is toast, and he says to head back to Zed, who is under attack again by bandits. The three of them help save him until they're pinned down and close a garage door for cover. As they're attempting to think of a plan, they start hearing a fight outside. We hear sounds of bandits shooting and dying until one of their heads comes busting through the garage door, propelled by a muscled arm. Then a muscled fist breaks another hole into the door, and when the three of them get ready to kill this threat, Brick lifts up the garage door and introduces himself. The four of them agree to work together after the saving of each other, and the common goal, since it's obvious none of them can do this on their own. Zed says with Nine Toes dead, they can head out of the area, but to beware of Sledge. The Angel appears to all the Vault Hunters and leads them to find Sledge at his base, where they kill him while supporting each other against his bandits and find a piece of the vault key. The Angel will direct them to New Haven to meet Helena Pierce, as she can lead us to Patricia Tanis, the one to discover the vault and the person with the most knowledge of what they need to do to find the vault. They make it to New Haven and are pointed to Tanis, who is hiding out amongst the indigenous life. They leave her with a piece of the vault key, and she directs them to find Crazy Earl, who has another piece. They'll meet him and agree to kill some skags harassing him as payment for the piece of the key. They'll complete the task and return to Earl, only to learn Crom has the key piece now. They'll fight to him and kill him as we get introduced to Commandant Steele of the Atlas Corporation, who sends out public broadcasts of the Atlas Corporation's intentions to take over and find the vault. When they bring this piece back to Tanis, she says another lie's on the Trash Coast, so they'll head there to grab it. They'll defeat Baron Flint, but learn Tanis lied to them about him having a piece of the key, as Steele says she's going to visit Tanis for some assistance with finding the vault. The Vault Hunters head back to her place, but Tanis is gone, and so are the pieces of the key. They pursue Steele and fight through Crimson Lance to find Tanis imprisoned. She is freed, and the Vault Hunters learn the key has been taken to the vault, with Tanis giving them the location. They'll fight through more Crimson Lance before encountering the Crimson Lance fighting the Guardians, so they do what they can to run past enemies and kill those who get in their way. They find Steele activating the vault key, and she turns to give her speech about bandits sucking before she's impaled by the destroyer that appears from the portal the vault key opened. The Vault Hunters use their arsenal to take it down, rockets, shotguns, rifles, SMGs, snipers, and siren powers, with Lilith getting the final blow, which causes it to retreat back through the portal it protruded from. Then they get their loot as they find a treasure trove of weapons that spilled out of the vault when the portal was opened. The Vault Hunters leave the key with Tanis, as she says it doesn't work anymore, but she'll keep it out of the wrong hands. We'll have the Vault Hunters share a joke between them about what they want to do next, with Mordecai suggesting a drink and Brick suggesting a boxing match, as we pan up into the sky to see the Hyperion satellite zooming in on the four of them. Then the credits roll. While this is definitely stuffed with references to the game, that is the point. When adapting the story of the game, it helps to have several parts from the game, as well as the characterization of the characters from the game. We can meet each character of the Vault Hunters before the first act ends, we get some nostalgia for the fans of the series throughout, and we get to see a progressive sense of personality and teamwork develop as the plot moves along. The strength of Borderlands should have been the dynamics between the characters and the humor between them as well. The action should be secondary to this, as the characters are what make people care. Instead, we got an action movie with old women acting like young women, missing characters, and humor that makes you want to take a dive into a rat nest. In short, you have to respect where things come from when adapting something in another medium. Immerse yourself into it to get a feel for what it is and why people love it. Then you can make something that will make the studio money and keep the fans happy. This cycle is a classic one. Make faithful product, make fans happy, make money, repeat. All you gotta do is be faithful and trim the fat. That's it. No special secret, no tricks, no massive budgets for spectacle or high-profile actors. Just faithfulness and efficiency. It's not hard to make a video game movie.